everyone. Welcome back to the Broker Scale Committee. My name is Scott Valens. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Go Rascal, and today I'm going to be hosting this panel where we are going to be talking about tech stack. Tech stack meaning what technology do you use at your mortgage brokerage, and how does it communicate, and what does each piece of technology do? So I've got my buddies on here. I'll throw it around the room quickly in case people haven't watched this before, so everyone can give a quick introduction. We'll start with you, Russell.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm Russell Petty. I'm the owner and founder of Grow Mortgage here in Charlotte. Yeah, we are big on the tech stuff, so I'm excited.
Cool. Andy.
Oh,
you're muted, Andy.
Andy, we got no audio on you, buddy.
Is that better?
Technology.
Speaking of tech stack.
Technology, right? Yeah, Andy Price, Price Mortgage, broker, owner.
Cool. Where are you? You're in Arizona, yeah?
Yeah, we're in Arizona.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Dan?
Daniel Maybaum, one of the two owners of Answer Home Loans, just outside of Sacramento, California. Excited to be hanging out with you guys this morning.
Cool. And I'm in Brooklyn, New York. Go Rascal. That's headquarters here. You got the exposed brick in the back. So, all right, so let's dive in. Got a bunch of questions for you guys to bat around. But let's just start with the basics. Let's hear about your core tech stack. What are you using for, the different tools? And yeah, let's hear it. Russell, let's go back to you.
Yeah, so we use Arrive for our LOS and POS. I used to use Flowify before they were acquired. I love Arrive. I've been on and off of it since it launched on the 101 or 1.0 with Salesforce. So really love seeing how the platform's kind of grown and that kind of thing. For me, it has to be mobile. I have to be able to do everything from my phone, and they have that now. It all just syncs together. We just added in Bonzo as well. So kind of our CRM and drip campaigns and marketing and that sort of thing. And they're working on tying them together so that we can kind of add all of that in. But right now, the only tech that we really use is Arrive and Bonzo.
And Bonzo, they're not integrated, right? No Zapier, no connection right now?
Well, there is a connection. It's through Zapier.
Okay.
They will actually build it for you. So I know a lot of people, like, you have the API, you have Zapier, but it's tough to build all that stuff out, right? Especially if you're a broker owner, a single man shop, you don't have the time to build all that out. Bonzo for us is building that out. I think it's like $200. They're doing the whole integration for us, and we're under their Zapier account, so we don't have to pay for all the zaps.
Oh, wow.
And if anything ever breaks, they can just go in and fix it really quickly for us. So that's a huge plus to them. Whereas I don't think any of the other CRMs we talked to offered that. And I'm not trying to plug Bonzo here, but that is a huge plus for us when we joined.
Plugs are okay. And is it by, do they speak to each other both ways, or is it just Arrive to Bonzo?
I believe it has just arrived to Bonzo for now, but they are working on bidirectional.
Yep. We've got that with Arrive to Django. We use Django, but and so those are your two tech stacks. Cool. Andy, how about you?
Yeah, kind of the same. So we've moved over to Arrive about 6 months ago. It's been really good. Before that, we were using Point, Point and Flowify. So now it's Arrive, and then we also have Bonzo. Probably should have my marketing director, IT guy on here. He's the one that set all that up through Zapier. But it's pretty cool. We also build out things in our intranet where it'll pull Zillow values in from our customers, send them out. You can go in there and just kind of push, hey, I want to reach out to anybody who has a 5% rate and X amount of equity, things like that. So it'll pull all that through and send them out. And what's cool about Bonzo is it does the text too. So like it'll send an email and then it'll send a text, and the text says, hey, check your email, just sent you some info, whatever. And so those will get a really high response rate. My first test of it was a few months back, and I think we sent it to like 150 people. And me personally, I snagged probably 4 or 5 deals out of it, just pretty good response rate. Did one the other day too, didn't do as hot, but it's just that time of year, the market we're in and things like that.
But
yeah, I mean, other than that, we have our
refis from that.
What's
you get
that?
Like refis from that when you say,
yeah.
So you sent out like a rate drop notification by email.
I didn't send a rate drop out. I just sent out something about, hey, you got some equity in your home, and then so basically we can look at a home equity line of credit or whatever. And most of them, ended up just being regular refinances. I got a couple HELOCs off it, probably about 4 regular refinances.
And
but it's cool because the guy built out, where he can pull in the Zillow values. It just automates. Yeah.
Cool. And the text just reminded them to, hey, go check your email. I was like,
yeah. everybody's
Cool.
excited about their equity, not so much about rates. So, you know, it's hit or miss who needs it. But I think we're going to see an uptick in that, right? Like as rates come down a little and people's credit cards keep getting maxed out, you know, it's just the way it's going to go. I mean, there's people are going to have to do something at some point, whether it's, you know, that or a HELOC or something. So just basically just keep top of mind. I use it for agents too. So like if we have a, you know, hey, rates dropped, or hey, you know, here's our buy down calculator, things like that. We'll send them a little text about programs, things like that through Bonzo, and it sends them an email, and those get a high response rate. I try to do one about once every 2 weeks on a Friday, you know, just kind of touch base with people. So that's the stuff we're doing. But our internet also is pretty built out. So lots of things in there, like on demand flyers, things like that, kind of like UWM, but just things that we've kind of built out and, you know, are able to automate and help people with in the LO sector here.
Cool. So you mentioned your Arrive and Bonzo, right?
Yeah.
What other, how about your phone service?
Nobody's doing anything crazy on the phones right now. We're mainly referrals, so we don't
No
really
dial
have
pad,
any.
you know, Ring Central,
No,
dial pad, neither. Cell
no,
phones?
I don't have any of that stuff. No.
Landlines? No? What about you, Russell?
Oh, I have main lines, yeah, but nothing
All cell
fancy
phone.
on leads and stuff.
All cell phone.
Also, we use Sideline. It's an app on your phone
Okay.
for our main line, and everybody when they join, I just send them the invite. They download the app, and it puts it all together on one thing. It's $10 a month, unlimited users on your team, I believe. We've got 25 people on it right now, and it's great. So anybody can answer the main line. Anybody can text back. I have our rate updates that go to it from Hammer. They all text to it, so the whole company gets rate updates as they come in. And I just tell them, like, if the main line's ringing, it's a lead for anybody. Take it, and you're good to go.
Very
That's
cool.
cool.
Interesting. I've never heard of that. But their phone numbers are still just their cell phone numbers on their
Correct.
phone.
Correct.
Main line's just like distributes the lead and texts out, and cool. All right, so that's your phone stuff. Did we miss anything? I'll get to you, Dan. But so we've got our CRM, we got our LOS, our POS, phone. Yeah, okay.
Do you guys use anything like list reports or MBS Highway or anything like that? I mean,
Yeah,
they're
right.
kind of tech adjacent, sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I use HomeBot.
HomeBot,
I'm looking
yeah.
at Home IQ list reports. I've had a few agents ask about it. It seems pretty cool. I've heard mixed things about it, so I haven't done it personally.
How do you leverage HomeBot? Do you just take the bulletin, like at the end of the week when it shows like the most activity from those people, and you reach out to them? Is that seems to be like the obvious thing, right? You get the email.
Yeah, I mean, I usually just, I need to do better with it, but I usually just, if somebody messages me through there, I'll do it. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's good for 5 to 10 deals a year if you're not doing
Yeah, it's
anything.
working behind the scenes.
But what I use it for mainly is for agents. I'll say, hey, you know, this is a really good tool to offer your customers. Why don't I sponsor you? Plug in your database, you know, and it just kind of links them up to you, and you get their people texting you stuff too. So, I mean, that's my main thing I do with it. All agents I like, I'll, you know, hey, why don't you, if you haven't used HomeBot, it's a really great tool, and let me send you a sponsor link. So that's what I like with it mainly.
Cool. What about you, Dan? What do you got? What's your stack look like?
So when I raised my hand to be a part of this group, I was a little nervous because I feel like I'm like entering that dinosaur stage of life, and I'm like, oh, I'm not really a tech guy, but I'll sort of act as the foil for these guys because I don't really know tech well, but. So I was like, all right, I'll jump on here and talk with these guys about it and see how that goes. So like, yeah, my company, we were on Calyx Point, you know, the old dog for many, many years. We did a ton of business on it the last few years. We are transitioning to Arrive this year, but it's a very slow process trying to convince these people to give up Point and move over to Arrive. Obviously, Arrive is vastly superior. There's no doubt about that. It's a great LOS system from what I can tell. You know, like personally, I've had list reports. I was such an early adopter on that. I had it at such a good price. I just never let that go. Even though Andy, I'm sort of with you. I'm, you know, a little. I don't know how valuable it necessarily is, but it's cheap with where I got it originally, and they've allowed me to keep that grandfather price.
MBS Highway just bought it, right? Barry Habib.
Yeah, they did. So that's exciting. You know, like I'm a huge Barry follower, and so I think that bodes well for that company going forward, I would imagine. You know, my company is a little interesting because like everybody's an independent contractor with my company, so we kind of allow them to use their own tech stack. So like all these companies that you've mentioned, I do have teams that are utilizing them, like the Bonzo Zapier stack with Arrive. And then Shape is one that a lot of people are looking into, another CRM that has a lot of functionality that people like. Personally, I've used Surefire Top of Mind for many years, which has a ton of functionality, but is kind of labor intensive, I feel like.
Yep.
It's not like super integrated. So that's, always a downside because it feels like homework to go in and utilize it. It's interesting. Like I've been doing this so long, and I feel like in the last 10 years, tech has obviously become more prevalent. And it's always like there's like 20 different pieces of tech that exist in our world, and that's always an ever-changing pool. But I don't feel like it's like a massive pool of things that we need to be cognizant of. What do you guys think about that? Is
Yeah,
that
I don't.
an accurate assessment?
Yeah, I think it's just advancements within the technology, like Bonzo compared to some competitors. Bonzo just seems to be out of the box, makes it easy, does some creative things. Russell, what you shared about it, that they'll set up your connections to other tech. And yeah, I think that's what people are looking for, especially in the mortgage broker space. Is I have a COO who has a Salesforce background, and so we use Jungo because he just knows how to tinker. Or it's a Salesforce platform. He knows how to tinker with it, and it's been great. And what Jungo has that I think Bonzo doesn't is just unbelievable, like reporting, stats, data, all that. And I'm not suggesting that you have to have that, but we love that, and we've looked closely at Bonzo and have said, for now, we'll stick with Jungo, but we understand some of the where Bonzo has made massive strides. And I think Jungo and Salesforce is pretty honest about its ability to send out flashy stuff, and they're a bit behind on that. It's more big enterprise based software. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know that there's been anything like maybe like Bomb and what about, do anyone use Bomb for videos and stuff? No.
Bonzo
I
pretty much
have
does it.
teammates that use it, but
Hmm.
I'm not familiar with it personally.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, yeah, we want to shoot a lot of videos. Then there's one or two competitors in the space.
Scott, you
But
guys use Arrive then?
yeah, we use Arrive as well. So we were lending pad to Arrive. We jumped on Arrive after Fuse 2021. So we've been doing about a year and change, and it's incredible. I find it, I like that there's competition, that there's plenty of lending pad people. But I would love to sit down and just hear why you have your diehard lending pad people and your diehard Arrive. It seems like lending pad's catching up with a lot of stuff that Arrive ran out of the gate with. They now have, I think it's a POS as well. They're integrating either Loan Sifter or that other one pretty soon, I read. So they're getting their pricing piece. So it's great that there's optionality, right?
What about an intercompany chat system? Do you guys use like Slack or
We
like
do.
we just have like a closed Facebook page?
Obsessed with
We
Slack.
communicate quite a bit. You guys use Slack?
So before Slack, before I had, my partner came on board, we were like GChat people. We use Google, we use just native Gmail, G Suite, and Slack's like life changing, personally for us. What about you guys? Anyone else use that or Teams?
We use G Suite Chat.
G Suite Chat. Yeah.
Yeah, Teams a little bit.
Yeah. Those communication tools, especially when people are virtual, you don't have everyone under one roof. It's nice to just go in and ping people.
And I think a big thing about tech stack is like you need all that stuff set up. But again, if you're not using it, it doesn't really matter what you have, right? So, it doesn't replace calling people. It doesn't replace following up with people. It's all begins with what you do work-wise, right? Like you can have all the tools in the world, but if you're not doing the work, it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? It doesn't do it for you, right? It helps.
Yeah, there's
but it
that
doesn't
time
replace
old
the work. Yeah.
There's that time old saying in the industry, what CRM is the best, whichever one you use.
Exactly.
Because it's like they all get the job done communication wise.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we got a couple more minutes here. And a couple other questions for you guys. Are any of you guys exploring new technologies that you haven't discussed here, that or a type of technology, maybe not a brand, like I wish and I want to go to the marketplace and see what can do this, because we haven't been able to incorporate this into our business practices? Anything?
I mean, we can talk that AI program that you brought to
Well,
our
yeah,
attention.
that's
So
true.
like
We can.
Scott, you've probably delved the most into that. Like what functionality do you see that as something you could adopt into your company?
You're talking about the new Chat GPT AI
Yeah,
product
I'm
that
gonna
everyone's
check that
talking about.
out. Yeah.
Time will tell. I mean, Russell was talking about it a little bit before we went live, that it's just basically an encyclopedia of knowledge, first and foremost, but then it also has like a creative human brain. I saw someone online tell it to write him a speech he had to give on a subject with some emotion involved, and it did that. I don't know, Russell, what else have you seen on it?
It's insane. I've probably spent 10 hours on this thing. So the thing with chat, the problem that AI has always had is that it wasn't human. Like you could tell you were talking to an AI, Turing test, whatever. This isn't going to pass that, but we're on our way to something that you can tell it to do something. Like if you talk to Chat GPT and you say, hey, write me a script on FHA loans and why they're better than conventional loans. And it'll write you the script. And you can literally just type in, make it funny, or tell me more about bullet point 4. And it will, and it'll do it. So the scary thing about it, I guess, or the cool thing at the same time is if you feed it the selling guides, it will know the entire selling guide better than any LO will. So I think it can go one of two ways. I think you're going to see companies doing like what Amerisave was doing, where you plug that into some sort of ocular technology. And now, the LO's maybe just a human voice on the other line, but this thing is doing all of the heavy lifting. It's looking at the documents, it's running the scenario, it'll change the way AUS is run. And I think that UWM's kind of ahead of the time on that with Bolt. I think that's sort of the route that they're going with it. But with Chat GPT, I think the other way it could go is, you've still got, with regulation, you've still got loan officers heavily involved in it. I think it can be used as a fantastic training tool. It can be used as a great sales coach. Hey, this loan, I can't get it approved. Look at this for me. Take a look at it and tell me what I can do to fix it. So, I mean, the possibilities with it are endless, but you essentially have a sales manager that knows every single guideline that there is in your back pocket.
So is this the step towards replacing the loan officer one day? Right? Because that's
Right.
always been like, how long until our job becomes obsolete, or our ability to make as much as we do in our role becomes, shifts drastically, because there's, we're the middleman, frankly, right? If a customer could go right to a bank and pick their rate and submit their docs, then, we're less valuable. What do you guys think about that? Russell, go for it.
I think so. I think it is, frankly. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but yeah, I mean, if you give this thing, you get it approved as a TPV vendor, plug it into AUS and have it run the findings with the work number and maybe account check or something like that, have it run it, and somehow it gets around and says, hey, this is one day certainty. I do think it replaces the LO. I don't think it's going to be this year. I don't think it's going to be next year. AI is moving very quickly, and I do think it's going to change the space quite a bit.
Yeah, there's probably a scenario too where the consumer, it will be consumer facing, and basically tell them what the risks and trade-offs are of the different rate options and scenarios. Should I take based on the inflation outlook, should I take a 10-1 arm at 6% paying a point, or should I take a 6.5 with no points, or should I take a 30-year fixed at 6.375, and it will spit out probably a similar version of what we're sharing, which is not like cold hard facts, but like, here's things to consider. And if you're low risk, take the 30-year fix. But if you think there's an opportunity for rates to come lower and refinance in the future, then bypass the points. Like, I think it's on its way for sure.
So this Chat GPT, it can do all kinds of stuff, but we can basically tailor it to mortgage. Is that what it is?
So Russell, you kind of sparked something when you first brought it up. So I just plugged it in. I said, write me a 30-second holiday speech, motivational holiday speech. And it did pretty good. I mean, it's pretty vanilla what it spitted out, but like if you gave this little speech at a holiday party, you'd be fine. Like, people would be like, all right, we're fired up,
Yeah.
And
if
so
you really want to mess with it, Dan, tell it to write a script for a video on the down payment requirements for FHA. It'll write you one, and then tell it add in a third person, and then tell it add in a monkey, and it will literally add them into the story, and it flows perfectly. And this just came out too. So
yeah. Oh, I know. You imagine in a month it'll be infinitely smarter than it is now.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I think one thing too, with something like this, like the big banks and stuff, like how long would it take them to figure it out and use it, and have their compliance and lawyers, and like as brokers, we can adapt something like this pretty quick, help us make life easier. And yeah, maybe 5 years from now or something, some of these banks are doing it, but at the end of the day,
it'll be a fintech lender to begin with, and then the big banks will take forever.
Right. So I mean, there's some time there in between. But yeah, I mean, obviously, whether we like it or not, what we get paid is going to go down regardless, right? I mean, that's just any service in oriented business. I mean, that's just the way it's going to go. As things get easier to do and the less you need a human involved, it just limits that opportunity, I guess, right? Makes our lives easier, but yeah, it will affect pay. So it'll become more of a volume game, like more than it ever has been.
Yeah,
no doubt.
But it allows you to do more volume, right? So
allows you to do more volume, and I agree. I think we are the best positioned to adopt all of these advances in our channel out of all of them, right? You run nimble, smart, but slightly risk-taking businesses, and in the mortgage space, in the mortgage broker space, and allows us to get a competitive advantage. So hopefully there'll be that period where technology is amazing, like you said, Andy. How much we get comp doesn't go down so much. It's outweighed by the volume we can do, and it distances us from the big, stodgy, slow-moving banks, and that's kind of our sweet spot for maybe
the best part about
5
being
years.
a broker is we can adapt quickly and incorporate things quickly, and survive easier, right? So
Totally.
yeah, being nimble.
All right, cool. Well, that was fun, guys. Thanks for coming and talking tech stack. We'll be back with a future video for the Broker Scale Committee. Hopefully those of you watching have enjoyed. And if you have any questions for any of us individually, feel free to reach out. It's very easy to find us.
Yeah,
I got my chat GPT ready for all those answers.
There you go.
Happy holidays, guys.
All right, guys.
Happy holidays. Bye, guys.
Take care.